Okay, I believe I'm live. Welcome. Let me get to where I need to be. My name is Mike Caton from Ace Method Coaching. And what I'm doing here today is I'm going to be analyzing technique from 6 different athletes that have sent me videos in the last several days. It's a combination of athletes ranging from some high school to college. In case you are unfamiliar with what I'm doing, at Ace Method Coaching, I do online coaching of runners and hurdlers. Do a lot of hurdlers, but part of that is to have sessions with me where they'll send me videos, and sometimes we'll do live Zoom sessions, or they'll just send it to me on email. There's a couple ways you can do this. It's a paid thing, but I do get a lot of free requests, as I can understand, and I like to help out the community. So the way that I do it is I group them all together as they come in once, twice, 3 times a week, and just go through quick versions of what I might do when I'm actually doing a real session with someone. And it's just the best that I can do, and hope that it works. Feedback seems to be good, so I keep doing it. By the way, if when you watch this, you are interested in working with me, you can go to my website at acemethodcoaching.com and see everything that I have to offer. I do have some free things that are real appealing to people. One is a hurdle technique cheat sheet, which is sort of a DIY version. So you can learn the process that I go through in my head, but I put it into a step-by-step spreadsheet, everything you need to look for. But if you want me to work with you, you can see how to do that there, or you can send this to get this free version. And what else? Got a few other things. I do sell hurdle training programs, and also, I have Hurdling 101, 201, and 301, which is a video series along with handouts and things that go with it that take a person all the way from an absolute beginner to being an elite hurdler, and everything in between. So it's pretty awesome. So if you want to check that out, let's see here. In case you're wondering who I am, I've been coaching for many years, 35 years, the last 25 or so, almost exclusively in track and field. A lot of specialization in hurdling. I've worked from middle school, high school, club, college, and beyond. Now I only work online. I do some sessions in person, but it's very rare, and a lot of those because it benefits me to be able to make videos out of them. So mostly I'm just helping people one-on-one all around the world, and I stay pretty busy doing it. You can learn about that on my website. So let's see what I'm going to be doing. Oh, also, if during watching this you want to send me a video, just know that you can, but it won't show up in today's episode or today's show. I'll just put it into a later one. When I do the paid versions, I try to do those within 24 hours, and these I just do them as I can. Another thing to know, seemed like there was something else to know. That's really bad. Oh yeah, if you have a question that you want to ask me during this show, go ahead and leave it in there. And when I'm done with the videos, I'll pop out and get into the YouTube, see if there's any questions for me, and I'll try to answer them there. Okay? So I'm going to jump into these. And today, let me see here. Okay. All right. So let me see here. I started, for those of you who watch my videos, let me get out of this. That's a little bit annoying. Okay, gotta get full screen. Okay. So I tried this new format. Reason being is I like to take these and cut them up into little pieces and make them vertical and put them on social media. And this saves me a ton of hours doing this. That's the reason why it looks the way that it did. I asked for people to give me feedback last week, and I only got one. And the person said, I like it, but it's a little bit distracting with all the stuff moving around the sides. So I do have a plan to change that. I think I'm just going to slow it down. I just didn't have time to do it before this session. Anybody else, if you have any suggestions or ideas, and just let me know. Send me an email, acemethodcoaching@gmail.com. Okay, these are the hurdlers I'm looking at today. In this order, I'm looking at Laksh, Charles, Cameron, Dulansa, Bridger, and Terrence. Okay, I'm going to go in that order. And queued up here, when I say queued up, his video is ready. It's not really queued up. This is Laksh. I know he took a while before he took off, so let me get this all ready to go. Okay, so this is what I know about Laksh. He is a 9th grader in his 2nd year, and he's wondering why his second step looks more like a triple jump. So let's check it out. Okay, so I see what you mean, Laksh, but I am not as concerned about it as you are. I can tell you, if I had a 9th grader on my team that hurdled like you, I would be pretty excited. I mean, I think you look really good. No, this is not really great technique or anything like that, but you, without a doubt, have the technique down. I shouldn't say that. You have what it takes to be really good. And I'm going to assume, yes, this is official spacing, and I wouldn't doubt it. It might be like 36-inch hurdles, maybe. But let me tell you what I like, and then I'll answer your question. I mean, you're able to 3-step, and actually, you don't look worse as the race goes on, or as it goes on, you look better, which is unusual, because beginner hurdlers tend to get slower as they go on because they're losing so much speed. So I think you are really athletic. You really got the body type. You got, what you're looking for. So again, I think you're doing fine. But the big question is, why is this step right here so darn long? And you're right, that is super long and not really what we want. But this is a result of somebody who is not able to comfortably run only 3 steps between the hurdles. So in order to achieve it, they are just taking really long strides, which is very normal and natural and happens in 90% of the cases, probably in developing hurdlers. The problem is it's not the smart thing to do, because you don't realize that you are really taking a slow stride. And hurdling is really about having as much speed between and over the hurdles. And every time you do that, you're slowing yourself down. And why are you doing it? Is because you are practicing with hurdles that are at the full spacing. So if you keep doing this, you're just going to keep reinforcing this bad habit. And if you practice like this, then you're going to race like this. So my recommendation, and this is detailed in my Hurdling 101, and it's also mentioned in a video that I have about how to take 3 steps between the hurdles. What you need to do is what some people call pinch the spacing of the hurdles, meaning bring them in closer. I would even bring them down a little bit to a space that you can comfortably 3-step while taking a normal sprint stride over them. And then what will happen is, as you get better and more efficient with your technique, pretty soon those hurdles will feel close, and you can gradually spread them and then gradually spread them. Every time you get good at it, you spread them another 6 inches or so, until eventually you are to where you are about 12 inches, a foot away from the actual race distance at practice. And once you're able to do that well, then you will be able to go into a meet and run it just like that. Okay? It seems not right because you're thinking, don't I need to practice at the full spacing? No. None of the state champions that I work with almost ever practice at full spacing. As the season goes on and they get into the later part of the season, they'll eventually start to get closer and closer. But even peaking, I don't usually do that because at practice, you don't have the adrenaline built up and you're not as fresh because you've probably been doing multiple repetitions. So you just can't do it. And you'll end up having bad practices, which you'll have bad races. So bringing it closer and bringing it down a notch pretty much feels the way it's going to race, and it's a good simulation, and you'll do better that way. So that's my recommendation. Okay, so moving on. Let me get to the next person. And that next person is Charles. Okay, Charles is a third-year hurdler, but did not tell me what year he's in. Doesn't matter. And he is saying he wants to know how to correct his last step going into the hurdle. And then for people, this is just so you'll know, there's some advantages to this video view because it does give me nice and zoomed in close to what you want to see, but it doesn't tell me a whole big picture. So every view's got its pros and cons. He also sent it to me full speed, which I'm not a fan of, but okay. So let me back up a little bit. So Charles wants to know how to fix this last step right here because he is landing on his heels with his legs out in front of him, putting on the brakes, which is really not what we want, and Charles knows that. That's the reason why he's asking me that specific question. Maybe he has seen my videos that talk a lot about this. This is mentioned a lot in my Hurdling 301. It's also in my Hurdle Technique cheat sheet, and also a recent video that I did with Alex Chukwukelu, who's the fastest high school hurdler right now, or at least one of them. He talks a lot about that. The goal is to get your shin straight up and down right here. Okay, so Charles, okay, so it's very mental. I can tell you that because a person wants to, when they see a thing in front of them, they want to jump over it and be confident that they're gonna not run into it. So you have to break that habit. You got to break that psychological barrier and say, no, I'm going to go flat over that hurdle, and I'm going to trust that my lead leg and my trail leg go over it properly and I don't hit it. And so what you want to do is run full speed. Possibly, if you need to, lengthen your other two steps by just a couple of inches. That would pull you in close enough to where you can be the same distance from the hurdle, but get this foot about 8 inches farther back so that your shin is like this and your toe is about where your heel is and your heel is back here. And so you hit this flat and you go forward over this hurdle like here versus planting like this out in front of you and then wanting to jump up. What's interesting is you stay flat over that hurdle. This is really good technique. I think the trail leg looks really nice. I would think that the trail leg is a little bit laggy, meaning it's behind you. It should be a little bit forward at this point. Maybe that's why you hit it. Okay, so counter to what I thought was going to happen, because I didn't look at this video in advance, I thought you were going to jump up. So you'd actually look like a really good hurdler. But you know that you don't want to put on the brakes. So this is about what you want your foot to look like when you hit the ground versus this. So I will tell you this, Charles, it's probably one of the harder things to do. and hardest habit to break. So I would probably, like usually, pull your hurdle in a little closer, maybe a few inches, and then just practice at less than full speed, getting that plant foot underneath you and going over that hurdle. And then as you get comfortable with that, gradually spread the hurdle out, but going faster and faster and faster. And I wouldn't, like, let's say, for example, you can do it at 60% speed, and then you can do it at 70%, but every time you go to 80%, you get back to this again. I would just stay at 70 until you, so back to 70, reinforce it, then go to 80, and don't pass 80% until you master it, and then gradually go to 90%. So I'm like very incremental about the way I do things, and just try to, again, it's trying to break habits that are in your head. But you look really good. Okay, that was a really good one. Cameron. Okay, give me a second. I gotta see if I can make this. Oh, that's not Cameron. Let's see if I can make it full view, full screen. Okay, so Cameron. Okay, Cameron, I gotta say, what you're asking me is confusing, because it says you're 12th grade, first year, but your question is, how can I break 13 on college height? This looks like college height, and so you're either in high school senior or you're in college, but you can't be in both. So that's why I'm confused. Also, you're telling me that it's your first year hurdling, and there's no way, because I watched this, and you are the guy who wins this race, and there's no way you're a first year hurdler. So it's confusing to me. You're actually a really, really good hurdler. I mean, really good hurdler. And I don't know for sure if this is 39 or 42 inch hurdles. The other thing is, you want to know how you can break 13 on a college height. Well, I mean, 13 is like elite level. So that's a tough question. You also don't look tall. So if you haven't already seen it, I put out a video just today that I did with Eric Edwards that talks about how to hurdle when you're not tall, or if you're jumping at hurdles that are tall for you. And so I would definitely recommend checking that out. So yeah, this doesn't look like 42 inches to me. Looks like 39, I guess. But you also don't look tall. So, because it's so confusing, let me just tell you, let me just jump in some generalities of how I think you can improve. And it's going to be tough because you look really good. Okay, that is a very good landing. Very good landing. That is a very nice first step off the hurdle. That is a very nice second step off the hurdle. That's a very good plant step. I think you haven't quite touched there. So this is outstanding. I mean, really good. And then your trail leg looks good. You're approaching the hurdle. Okay, two things. Okay, I got a whole lot of great things to say about you, but being really picky, I would say two things. One is, as you go into this hurdle, and this could answer your question about 42-inch hurdles, okay? If you look at the really elites, like in the Olympics and the really good ones in college even, they try to stay tall in between throughout the whole race. But definitely you can see them as they come into the last step, that they really raise up like tall, like trying to lengthen their body out to be able to come at that hurdle and go either flat or down on that hurdle so they don't have to come up at the hurdle, and it keeps them lower, you don't look like you've done that. See, I would try to get a little taller going into the hurdle. That'd be one thing. The other thing is this. The fact that your knee is bent like this, you really want to have a harder drive off this plant leg, which ends up being your trail leg. It should really fully extend forward as much as you can into the hurdle, okay? Another thing is normally you want to reach your peak of your jump, even though it's not a jump, of your parabola, your curve, right here, and then come down on the hurdle or start to come down. But you look like you reach your peak about right here, which is on top of the hurdle, which makes me think you're a little too close to the hurdle. And you're also far away from the hurdle. So, but if you've watched that video that I just told you about either if you're shorter or if the, relatively speaking to the hurdles, to compensate, you want to jump farther back. To just know that, because normally you want about a 2-to-1 ratio from the front of the hurdle to the back side of the hurdle. But when you're shorter, you have to take off farther, but also land farther. So it's a little more 1-to-1, or maybe like 1.5-to-1 or something like that. I don't think anybody's ever measured it, but this looks really good. So you're really good. Those would be my two quick suggestions, is push off harder to get a full extension off of your plant leg, and then play around with the spacing. Definitely check out what Eric Edwards does. You could probably steal some ideas from him, and he talks about it on my video. Okay, so check that out. Also follow him. He's got some really good stuff. And I forgot the other thing that I said. But anyway, hope that helps. Okay, moving on to Dulansa. Dulansa, I'm thinking, is also from India. I was right. Darn it. I was right last time I predicted that. Come on. Full screen. Doesn't want to get bigger. I'm going to make it bigger manually. Okay. Okay, Dulansa wins this race. I looked at it before I did this and wants to know how he can get better to improve. And I got an idea for you, Dulansa. Okay, let me cue this up in case I go back. Okay. Okay, so I love it in these countries where, for the younger hurdlers, they bring the spacing in close. Okay, I like that a lot. The problem is when you're somebody like you, who seems to be taller than your people, you've matured early, it's really close for you. Okay, I coached a young girl from Ireland who had the same situation. She was tall and running these super tiny things. She ended up, hopefully with my help, she won her national championship. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told her. What you want to do is you want to look at the Olympians. And if you watch them, they're so fast and long-legged usually that if they run with normal strides, they're going to get too close to the hurdle. Even Eric Edwards, who's like 5'8", maybe 5'9", he told me, with good shoes, he will get too close to the hurdle. So you have to intentionally take really tiny steps and don't allow your heels to come high off the ground, right? They're these funny little steps. So that's what you need to do. You need to learn how to run really quick between the hurdles and with what's called a low heel recovery. Okay, so you don't lift your heels up and you just turn them over just really quickly. So you have this advantage of just really rapid, quick steps over your competitors. I mean, you're already way ahead of your competitors. If you do this, you'll be able to stay faster between the hurdles, stay lower over the hurdles, okay, and just be super fast, okay, because you need to be taking off from farther away. I mean, you are reaching your peak here on the far side of the hurdle coming down. So number one, take the tiny steps that are very quick, and then the other is jump from farther away, stay flat over that hurdle, and you'll be a lot faster, okay? So that's really good. Okay, we are doing great. Okay, moving on to, I have to bounce out of here real quick and then change something here because my next two videos are vertical videos. It makes a bit of a difference. And I'm going to look at Bridger. It's a super cool name. Give me 1 second. Full screen. Okay. So Bridger, lane 1, red top, blonde, sophomore, third year, can't 3-step. And he's wondering if it's a confidence thing or does he just need to start strength training or what? Let's maybe, oh, lane 1, red top. Okay, so slide this over. Okay, you are 4-stepping. Really having a hard time at it. Okay, so Bridger, great effort. I mean, you seem really committed to going for it, so that's cool. All right, so can't 3-step, confidence. Okay, so the answer is confidence is almost always the issue. It could definitely, don't get me wrong, it could definitely be physical development. I mean, not everybody. I mean, the first video we saw today with Laksh, that's why I was telling him I'd be excited if you were on my team, because for a freshman to come in and hurdle like that and just in practice be able to just 3-step like it's no, well, I wouldn't say it's no problem, but to be able to do it, physically accomplish it, you know, probably top 25% of athletes. What you're doing is more typical, okay? And yes, you need to gain some physical maturity here, and strength training, speed training, performance training is always a good idea. If you're looking for something like that, I have one on my website if you go to my training programs. But so yes, getting older is going to help. Strength training, power training, speed training is going to help. But also gaining confidence is going to help, because when I watch you run here, this is not the stride of somebody who's running full speed with a lot of confidence. I can see you cutting down. That's a really tiny step, and that's a really not great step. So what I would do is I talked to somebody else today already, is take the hurdle 101 approach, pull those hurdles in close, find a spacing that works for you, that you can 3-step. And that way you can gain the confidence and start stepping properly and start taking really good sprint strides between them. And then as you get better and more efficient and you're lower and faster over the hurdle, you're going to find that the hurdles are now too close. And then you gradually, incrementally spread them out in like 6-inch increments. And as you get good at that, you gradually keep spreading them out. So all that will help you. Okay? Cool. Moving on to the last one. And yes, I am going kind of quick over these, but that's just the way I got to do for all these free requests because I wouldn't have enough time in the day to do this. Terrence. Okay, Terrence, this video, just so you know, is a little bit tough. Meaning, do you notice how small it was? And I had to make it larger, and when I do, it's really grainy, okay? And so, just basically, some suggestions. Okay, you look good. Okay, I don't know for sure, but something funny happened there that doesn't seem to be you. So I'm thinking you hit the guy next to you, or something threw you off, or something was wrong. So I'm going to ignore that, because don't get me wrong, you seem like yeah, see, and now I can't even see the whole thing. You definitely have an issue with your lead arm. Like, that's not bad, the way you stick it out, but the way you let it go back so far and literally turn your shoulder sideways. I mean, the cameraman can see, I can see your full chest. So that means you're too turned. You want to keep your shoulders squared forward. So you want to figure out what that's all about. It's not because you're too high over the hurdle, because you look great over the hurdle. It could be, and again, because of the video, I can't see. Sometimes it's the lead arm moving wrong, lead leg moving wrong, and then when you come off, you got to overcompensate. Hard to say exactly. But yeah, see how you're still twisted because your right arm is across your body. I don't know. Just with the limited view that I have of you, I can't really say exactly why you are over rotating. Now, it could be as simple as just not realizing it. So if that's the case, let's try the most simple thing, which is for me to say, keep your shoulders squared. And as you pull back with that lead arm, focus on bringing the elbow back, not the hand back. That might correct it. If that doesn't correct it and it keeps doing that, then other things that it could be is over rotating the trail leg before you start to drive it down, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Again, if I saw you from the front, I would have a better idea. It could be that your lead leg is swinging around versus going straight forward, and that's causing the rotation. Hard to say. Could be your lead arm is starting a rotation. So I would probably lower the hurdles a bit, bring them in closer, try to go less than full speed, and practice just hurdling, keeping shoulders square forward, keeping hips square forward, and just don't let anything move. And like I said, don't do any rotational stuff with your lead arm or your lead leg. Make sure they pull straight through and see if that straightens you out. And if it does, then you just want to gradually spread those hurdles and increase the speed. And like I've told half the people on this video, do it incrementally, and don't go faster and farther until you've mastered it at that one level, and you just keep improving from there. That'd be the approach that I would take here. I hope that helped. So that was all of the videos that I got in the last few days, or grouped up here. Let me jump out to here. Actually, let me go into YouTube, see if anybody asked a question, and they haven't. So I am gonna end this. Let me just change my view real quick. So there we have it. That was 6 people. Surprising commonality. Even though they all had different things, a lot of it could be solved the same way, which is to slow down, shorten, practice your technique, get it really good at less than full speed and less than full spacing, and then gradually, incrementally increase the spacing and the speed, and don't advance until you master it at 1. The problem is just doing it in drills and thinking it's going to work in full speed. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it incrementally, step by step, and I think that'll help. Okay, again, if you didn't hear me at the beginning of this video and you're going, how do I get my video on this show? It's all done through my website at acemethodcoaching.com. Check it out. Please don't email them to me. My system is to grab them off of my website. It's much more organized. I get so many emails that I will lose it in an email. So just do it through there. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me questions, but videos, send them through the website. That's it. I hope to see your videos down the road. Coach Ace out.